Dalton is more than $3.5 million in the hole. Mayor Tiffany Henyard is accused of misusing money, and today, she's nowhere to be found.
I've never seen any municipality have so many credit cards out there. Orders going out to each. It is mind-boggling.
Well, you don't answer questions. There's something to
Though Tiffany Henyard had always presented a carefree, confident image, a wave of panic started to rise as people began to turn against her in a stunning twist. One of her former trusted assistants came forward, revealing the dark underbelly of Henyard's actions and shady dealings. This bombshell exposed a network of unethical conduct that sent shockwaves through the community. As the drama surrounding Henyard's fall from grace unfolded, new evidence continued to surface, making her already dire situation even worse. Once the powerful mayor of Dalton, Henyard had ruled over a seemingly indestructible political empire. But that empire crumbled quickly, along with her reputation. The most recent blow came from Carmen Caro, a former close ally and trustee on the Fenn Township Board. Caro publicly accused the 41-year-old mayor of engaging in unethical practices and using manipulative tactics to consolidate power. According to Caro, Henyard had used residents, employees, and vendors as pawns to create a false image of success, funded by taxpayer money. Despite presenting herself as a superhero mayor, Henyard could no longer evade scrutiny. In an attempt to deflect blame, she tried to shift the focus onto others during a public address, but her response only highlighted the gravity of her downfall. Caro, who had stayed silent for years about Henyard's lavish spending and questionable financial dealings, explained that her conscience could no longer remain quiet. "I'm speaking out not for myself, but for those who have suffered under what I see as Henyard's leadership," Caro explained. Her decision to speak up surprised many, considering Henyard's tight control over local law enforcement and the public narrative that had long shielded her. Henyard's public speech, which attempted to deflect blame and responsibility, did little to ease the growing unrest. At one point, she tried to intimidate Caro, saying, "I think I'm going to call you something else." In response, Caro calmly explained how she had initially trusted the administration, but once that trust was lost, she began to question everything. Henyard's efforts to discredit Caro backfired when Caro made it clear she was no longer staying silent, ready to reveal Henyard's unethical actions. Caro recalled a pivotal incident in which Henyard misrepresented a foundation she was involved with, even going as far as visiting Caro's home to try to pressure her into lying about the foundation's origins. These actions painted a picture of a mayor willing to manipulate others to protect her image and maintain power. Meanwhile, trustee Chris Gonzalez, who had raised alarms about Henyard's financial mismanagement for months, took the spotlight. Gonzalez had repeatedly requested financial documents and answers regarding Henyard's questionable spending, but his inquiries were consistently ignored. The growing pressure came to a head during a tense board meeting that felt more like an intervention. During the 15th board meeting, the agenda was dominated by Henyard's alleged financial mismanagement. The board proposed several ordinances aimed at curbing corruption, including limits on travel expenses, stricter budget controls, credit monitoring rules, and a ban on using township assets for personal use. As the board debated these measures, it was clear that the opposition to Henyard's leadership was not just political, it was a matter of ensuring public accountability. The most unexpected move came when Gonzalez nominated Henyard for a key position on the board, despite the mounting evidence of her corruption. The nomination, made just minutes before the midnight deadline, seemed out of place given the tense mood. However, it was revealed that Henyard had applied for the position earlier in the year. This last-minute nomination highlighted the deep divisions within the township. Despite the tumultuous atmosphere, Henyard was appointed to the position by a narrow vote. But this appointment did little to ease the growing opposition against her. Instead, it exposed how fractured her once solid support base had become. As the vote was cast and the decision made, it became increasingly clear that Henyard's time as mayor was running out. Her power was slipping away, and the foundation of her political empire was crumbling. Former allies, including Caro and Gonzalez, had turned against her, painting a picture of a leader who had lost connection with the people she once served. With each new revelation of Henyard's alleged corruption, it became harder for her to hold onto her authority. What once seemed like an untouchable political career was now in rapid decline. As more individuals came forward with stories of manipulation, financial misconduct, and unethical behavior under Henyard's leadership, the community remained on edge, waiting for the next shocking twist in the scandal. Henyard's fall from grace was far from over, and each passing day brought her closer to facing the full consequences of her actions.
Thornton Township Supervisor, how do you feel right now?
Oh man, I'm overjoyed. I see. Did you see it come?
Yeah.
That means that I am truly blessed that everyone.
Several residents of Dalton believed that the Board of Trustees had a hidden agenda when they nominated Tiffany Henyard for a key position. Many thought the trustees were trying to keep the decision out of the public eye, fearing the backlash that would follow if the process were more open and transparent. However, the consequences of trustee Chris Gonzalez's hasty nomination reverberated through the entire town, intensifying the already simmering unrest surrounding the mayor's office. Unsurprisingly, the town's residents were outraged. One resident voiced their frustration, saying, "I'm devastated that this woman came into our town and wasted all of our tax dollars." The resident continued, "I had my suspicions all along. We have elderly people here who can't even afford basic necessities because of her corruption. Tiffany needs to be imprisoned and used as an example. She can't just keep wasting our money like this." Carmen Caro, a former ally of Henyard, confirmed that the general sentiment among Dalton's residents was that Henyard should be removed from her position. The community, already suffering from the fallout of Henyard's alleged financial misconduct, had reached its breaking point. As Henyard tried to maintain control, pressure from all sides mounted. During a board meeting, Henyard attempted to push through an important agenda item, requesting backup invoices from the finance department, clearly trying to avoid scrutiny over her spending. However, trustee Chris Gonzalez wasn't fooled by her tactics. In July, Henyard replaced Keith Freeman, a former employee who had exposed her questionable spending, with Keith Price, a loyal ally, without seeking board approval. This move was widely seen as an effort to tighten her grip on the township's finances by placing someone she trusted in charge. Gonzalez pointed out that Price had no authority to handle sensitive financial documents without proper approval. Gonzalez, undeterred by Henyard's efforts to sidestep the issue, pressed on, refusing to let the situation go unchallenged, even though the necessary procedures had not been followed. Henyard tried to convince the board that Price's appointment didn't require their approval, even claiming that it had already been authorized. However, as the meeting progressed, it became clear that Gonzalez wouldn't allow her to manipulate the situation any longer. When Henyard called for a vote on the invoices, clearly hoping to block the motion, she faced unexpected resistance. Despite her efforts, Henyard lost this round, signaling a shift in the power dynamics. It was clear that her once loyal allies were no longer backing her actions. Henyard was the only trustee to vote against the motion, while Gonzalez and Caro voted in favor of obtaining the invoices. The villagers eagerly awaited the outcome of the vote, hoping it would mark a turning point in their favor. Although this small victory for Henyard's opponents was significant, the tension in the township remained high, and the fight for control over Dalton was far from over. Henyard, still clinging to power, tried to defend her position, but the pressure to expose her financial dealings only grew stronger. For those supporting the motion, it represented a crucial step in uncovering the truth behind Henyard's financial mismanagement and questionable practices. Whether Henyard could maintain her position remained uncertain, but the tide was clearly turning against her. In a last-ditch effort to regain control, Henyard called for a special Thornton Township Board meeting, hoping to reverse the recent ordinances designed to curb unchecked spending. The new regulations required all expenses to be pre-approved, directly targeting Henyard's reckless spending habits. However, when none of the 4 township trustees attended the meeting, Henyard responded angrily. She argued that these new measures were hindering the township's ability to provide essential services to children and senior citizens. "You thought this was just a way to stop Tiffany Henyard," she said, "but it's really about stopping the services here in Thornton Township." Despite Henyard's outburst, it was clear that the board's goal was to ensure greater accountability and responsibility in spending. The board had implemented stringent new regulations to prevent further financial mismanagement and protect the township's resources.